Hey guys, it's Brandon Miniman from PocketNow.com. The HP Veer is the smallest smartphone on the planet. It's selling right now on AT&T for $50 in your choice of black or white. In this video, we're going to talk about the hardware on this tiny little cute phone known as the Veer 4G. Let's get to it. Okay, so before jumping into hardware, let's talk about specifications. We've got an 800 megahertz processor with 512 megabytes of RAM. That's certainly an upgrade from the lower specs that you found on the Pixie and the Pixie Plus, which really seemed like underpowered devices. They were slow when it came to multitasking and web browsing. They would often freeze, which was quite annoying. So hopefully we get better results from the Veer 4G, which is considered to be the true successor to the Pixie and the Pixie Plus. We've got Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, HSPA Plus for faster download speeds, Category 10, which means in theory you should be able to get 14.4 megabits per second down. But of course those are theoretical speeds. You probably can't get anywhere near that in the real world. We're going to talk about speeds in an upcoming video. We've got a 5 megapixel camera on the back. Unfortunately, no flash back there, which is kind of annoying. The screen is super tiny, 2.6 inches. The resolution's 400 down by 320 across. And although this isn't fair, we're going to take out the Samsung Galaxy S2 here, which of course has a screen much larger, 4.3 inches. And let's just flip these on real quick, and you're going to get a sense for exactly how these compare. So I've actually got Pocket Now loaded on both. And click onto that. And obviously you're not going to carry a phone with a large screen like this next to a Veer, which has a tiny screen. You're just going to have a Veer, right? So you're not going to notice how small the screen is unless you're comparing side to side like this. But you can really get the sense for the difference in screen size. And also the quality of the screen. The Veer 4G has an LCD panel, whereas the Galaxy S2 has Super AMOLED Plus. So you don't get that super great contrast. But that really wasn't a selling point of the Veer 4G. They didn't claim to have a tremendously amazing screen. The screen is crisp and clear. We're going to talk more about it in an upcoming video. Colors look good. Contrast is good. Of course, it's hard to beat the Galaxy S2's Super AMOLED Plus display. So let's move that away and move around the device and talk about what we have. And we also learned a very important lesson about the Veer 4G, which we're going to talk about in a sec. On the side of the device here, we've got the volume up and down rocker, kind of nicely adorned in chrome. On the top, we've got a little lanyard loop. And here is the SIM card slot. Now, you might be thinking, well, isn't the SIM card slot behind the battery cover? Well, obviously it's not. It's on the top here. And what you have to do is jam your finger in there, and you get to the SIM card slot. Now, a word of warning. Do not, and I repeat, do not try to remove the back battery cover on the Veer 4G. Previous Palm devices, or HP devices, this case Palm, like the Pixie, had a removable backing, right? So you can access the battery, get to everything back there. And even the Pre 2 on AT&T, you could pop off the battery cover so that you can change batteries if you want, right? You can change the SIM card. Not the case with the Veer 4G. If you try to remove the back battery cover, you're going to break something like I did. If we look over here, ouch. This piece, very thin piece of plastic, if bent or mangled the wrong way, is going to permanently bend like that. Fortunately, this blemish hasn't altered the functionality of the device. It still works great. But just a word of warning for those of you thinking about getting this device, do not try to remove the back battery cover. I know a lot of people don't read the user manual, like me sometimes, but just take that warning seriously. Over here we've got a silent switch, which is nice. It's been on Palm devices since the earliest Palm smartphones. Very nice to have. Got the nice power standby here in the upper right corner. And then this thing, which we just were looking at a second ago. There is no mini USB or micro USB port on this device, and there's also no 3.5 millimeter headphone jack. What you have to do is get this little adapter for 3.5 millimeter in particular. It sucks on there real easily. Kind of annoying that you have to have this extremity on the device, and this doesn't impact the slider, by the way. It just slides nicely with it. We'll talk about the keyboard in a second. It's just annoying to have to remember an accessory, and it's pretty secure, although if you give it a little bit of a twist, it will eventually fall off naturally. And then the other part of this is the power cable. So you can't charge with usual micro USB, which is kind of annoying. Last weekend I was away from the office. I didn't have this thing. So the Veer 4G went dead because I couldn't charge it with my usual micro USB cabling. So that snaps right on, charges the device. The battery is about 900 milliamp hours. And although that's small, it's enough to power the Veer 4G for quite a while thanks to the small screen and 800 megahertz processor. So let's take that off and keep moving around the device. Again, we've got the 5 megapixel camera here with a speaker and no flash. HP branding, no palm branding to be found. AT&T logo on the bottom. And let's talk about this keyboard. The Pixie had a super duper clicky keyboard, which was great. People really liked that. And even though the keys were super tiny, I'll put a pen next to it so you can see. The keyboard was very, very usable. And the same is the case with the Veer 4G. And if we take out the Pre-2, got to pop that back battery cover back on, we can see that the keyboards are basically identical in terms of layout. So all the buttons are in the same place. What's different is that the keys on the Veer 4G probably 20 to 30% smaller. But again, Palm WebOS devices have very, very usable keyboards. So if we go over to here, it just feels really good whether you have big hands or small hands. Just something about the keyboard is really, really good, and it makes a lot of sense to pack a smaller keyboard in a smaller device here. So let's close that. And of course, it's a WebOS device, so we've got this capacitive button here that'll take you back to the home screen, or you can use it as a back button, and lots of other functions like that too. We're going to talk all about software in an upcoming video. Build quality is very good, except for the fact that something can break if you attempt to take off the back battery cover, but to be fair, if you read the user manual, you'll find out that that's not how you get to the SIM card slot, and it's not meant to have a user replaceable battery like all of the other Palm devices, which is kind of frustrating. So overall, very good build quality, feels good in hand, has a good weight and balance, like all of the other WebOS devices that have the slide-down keyboard. And unlike early WebOS devices, which had problems with the slider, the Veer 4G looks very, very tight. It doesn't look like it's going to fatigue after a long period of time. It's spring assisted most of the way. Whoop, there it goes. And not that strong in terms of spring assistance, but pretty darn good. So that was a look at the hardware on the Veer 4G. It is tiny, it is small. Compared to other phones, it looks kind of ridiculous, but if you're looking for a small and light phone with high level of build quality, this is a great phone to get. And we're going to talk all about software and whether the higher specs, the faster processor, the more RAM, really makes a difference in day-to-day use. So if you like this video, please give us a thumbs up, and if there's something particular you want to see about the HP Veer 4G, drop us a comment. Thanks for watching. That's it for now.